Hey, what's up everyone? It's Snoo. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at yet another way that I'm target farming some currency, doing something that might be overlooked by a lot of you. I just came out with a video on citadels, which is another thing that's going on, and it kind of occurred to me that there's basically one of four different strategies or purposes to any one given map. Either, I'm trying to go from point A to point B to get to the next place, or I'm doing a tower to put precursor in to set up for yet another one. Magic finding, quant, rarity farming, breach, that sort of thing. So that's yet another. And then also the citadels, which I just came out with a video on. And I'd like to actually just say for a second, there's a slight correction I should make on there. I suggested in that video that you just need to hit certain breakpoints for waypoint drop chance spawned into the map. And I was under the impression those were kind of hard-coded in, but evidently not. There is some RNG still involved. You probably do have to hit a certain benchmark to have the opportunity to get X number of crisis fragments. I tried to do some research ahead of time, but yeah, it's not evidently not hard-coded. And some people are getting a little bit unlucky, getting maybe one fewer fragment than they think they should be. So I apologize about that. I always put something in the pinned comment down below if there's a major correction to be made on something I said. So it doesn't happen very often, but I guess I did in the last video. So for this one, I'm not going to show breach. I'm not going to show towers. Obviously not going to show citadels. I'm going to show you the point A to point B approach, which you might think would be, the most innocuous. Who cares, right? You're just trying to get point A to point B. Just put in the lowest number map you have, just some worthless garbage map, and just try to get through it and clear it as fast as possible. And it's kind of a waste of time otherwise. But no, actually I've found that there is a way to make quite a bit of currency, even in the least anticipated maps that you run. Take a look at this map right here. You might see something very interesting about it. Let's look at it just a second. It's got rarity. It's got increased number of rare monsters. I'm quite lucky on that. I actually don't care about those mods at all on this map. It's useful. It's fine. But that's not what I really care about. What I care about is the enchant. Players in areas are 122% delirious. Now, for anyone who plays Path of Exile 1, you might be like, what? 122? You can't even be more than 100. Well, apparently you can in this game. And by the way, Delirious is definitely coded differently here because it's actually not that hard. It's not that much harder than it is in PoE1. I mean, like I could have 100% Delirious in this game. It's actually easier than 30% Delirious in the previous game. It almost feels that way anyway. But we still get a lot of rewards for high delirium. Not in terms of like tile set rewards, but we get those Simulacrum splinters. And those things are money, guys. Those are a lot of money in this game. I will prove it to you right now. Hey. I deliberately went and sold my current stash that I had. And so I do this every day or two. And, well, apparently I had 8 whopping Simulacrums, which I went for 18 Divine Orbs. And then, in a much more simplified fashion, 31 Simulacrum Splinters, 26 Exalted Orbs. So there you can see it clear as day. 1 Simulacrum Splinter is worth almost 1 Exalted Orb. Now, how in the world did I get 8 of these? Well, I farm them over time. And some of you have probably farmed for a couple weeks now, maybe seen 1 or maybe 2 full Simulacrum, because you're not really target farming Delirium. And no, I'm not talking about mirrors. I'm not talking about Delirium mirrors at all. I'm talking about maps that spawn with deliriousness. So, how did I even get a map to do this? How did I even do this? Well, we're going to be looking at the Atlas here for Delirium. There are 2 Delirium notables that are really, really powerful for this. And you're definitely going to want to run the Delirious encounter and beat it twice. These 2 over here actually don't really matter much, I don't think. I went ahead and did them. I thought they might be useful. There are some other ones that I don't think are very good. They typically apply to the mirror and not just to Delirious maps, like what I'm going to show you today. But anyway, one here says Waystones found in your maps have 20% chance to have random instilled emotions applied. And, well, some of you may not know you can actually put those instilled emotions not just on your amulet, but also on your maps, and then make them drop even more stuff. In fact, the paranoia instilled emotion is very popular for magic finding because it increases the number of rare monsters in the map. And then up here, basically, all this is for is increasing the stack size from 1 to 2. So doubling the amount. And again, these are worth almost 1 Exalt apiece. And so we're going to drop a ton of these in one map. And I'm going to show you some more maps that I have just so you can kind of see 20% of the maps that I drop, Waystones, sorry, 20% of the Waystones that I drop automatically spawn with Deliriousness. And in some cases, it's just because of the instilled emotion that's just randomly thrown on there. By the way, I mean, you can get isolation emotions. That's what this one is. Unique monsters have one additional modifier. Too bad we can't like rip it off and use it for something else. But also, sometimes the map, for whatever reason, unexpectedly just spawns with a boatload of deliriousness, like a 15 or 25 or 50 automatically. And so this one here just spawned with a boatload of extra. And then what I like to do for these maps, if I'm target farming Simulacrum splinters, it's a good idea to just increase the pack size. And then you can't load these up with a whole bunch, but you can put a little bit extra on here in some cases. My current map that I'm going to show you today, I can't put any extras, but I can get this one up to level 84. And then, you know, I can craft it, of course, like I normally would, because I'd like to increase the amount of drops with that. I'll go ahead and even exalt that one up, just to give it the most chance. And I might even, like, Chaos Orbit, maybe, for something, but I don't typically do that. Not for these maps. I'm going to put this one back, because I'm not going to run that one. I'm going to run this bad boy right here. Rare monsters have a 25% chance to have an additional modifier. Is also kind of a more advanced instilled emotion, but that doesn't really matter. What we care about is that delirious number. And so when I do these point A to point B maps, what I'm doing is high delirium in most cases. Now, why am I going here? Well, you can see there's a lot of towers and there's a citadel. So again, I want to farm towers, put precursors in them to set up for magic finding later, and then I would like to do a citadel map, get a bunch of crisis fragments. I got a lot of other, you know, maps to do, but we're just going to take a break from these for a split second and show you this map. So you really don't need a huge number of them. I'm definitely running more maps with like target farming breach than I am just going from point A to point B in most cases. Might have some bad RNG with like a runaround or something. I have to go around a mountain or water. I have to run a bunch of maps. But in most cases, I will generally have, again, if 20% of my Waystones are automatically dropping with deliriousness, so many of those will be high deliriousness. And I would say most of my maps that I need for a point A to point B run, I can just do this with. So I have a nice loot filter. I have it linked down in the description below. It's quite a tight filter now at this point, but I have it set up so these look this way. So you can see not one, but two Simulacrum splinters can only be dropped from delirious monsters themselves, like these guys here. And if they're rare, they're quite often going to drop some too. I do believe if you have quantity on the map from your precursors and you're, you know, trying to go from one place to another near towers, that will actually give you even more Simulacrum splinters, which will be very often, of course, if you're putting quant on all the towers. This map here did happen to not have any increased quant. Now the bosses just dropped 3 because I'm not spec'd into them any other way, but 122% Delirious is going to have Kosis and Omniphobia in here for sure. And so we're going to do this whole map, and then we're just going to count how many splinters I got at the end. And I'm not really expecting, you know, I'm not expecting Divine Orbs to drop. There's no mechanics on here. But I have to full clear the map anyway to progress it, right? So we might as well take advantage of this. And by the way, Deliriousness in PoE1 was programmed so that the monsters that spawn native on the map were given extra quant and rarity multipliers on top of what you give to it otherwise. Gear and everything, and they were multiplicative, by the way. So there's a decent chance, again, this is speculation, not known in this game, it's a different game. But a lot of the old systems are brought over into the new game. So there's reason to believe that these maps are also going to drop more loot in general. And if they're not really any harder, which you can see, I mean, I'm just utterly blasting through this thing. It doesn't feel like there's really any difference between Delirious and non-Delirious map right here, except that Herald of Ice doesn't work because monsters' corpses can't be shattered because they're not actually corpses, which is another thing a lot of people don't know. If you're wondering why Herald of Ice isn't very good on Delirium, that's why. There's Omniphobia, and he's dead. Bell, not even necessary, really. In fact, Flicker Strike works even better on Delirious maps because the monsters live long enough. Alright, map complete. That was fast. Now, for the sake of just trying to see how many Simulacrum splinters I can get, I will go ahead and full clear this map because I'm kind of curious. On baseline, I'm a Waystone in a map that had no extra quant, just 122% Delirious. The numbers can be pretty good. Definitely going to make some currency here. Okay, one quick thing to take note of here is you can see there's a mirror shard. I think they're called shards right here up to the top left. these spawn in Delirium mirrors and they extend the duration of the mirror. They don't have that purpose here, but they just spawn additional monsters. I have noticed that the higher the deliriousness, the more shards that spawn. Again, they're not extending anything, they're just producing extra monsters. So I actually think that when you spawn higher deliriousness, or run a map with high delirium like this, you not only are more likely to drop Simulacrum splinters from monsters, but you actually spawn more delirious monsters into the map because those shards are way more prevalent. You just see more of them. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that's the case. And, well, that's timing is pretty good because now we're done with the map. So let's port out and let's see how many splinters I actually got. And I don't think League mechanics really do anything there because you can't get Simulacrum splinters from League mechanics. Alright, so the number is 53. And I do think I could have made this number go up quite a bit higher if I had happened to have, if that map had happened to be near precursors that were already offered me additional quant on my breach maps, which would happen a lot, of course. I mean, you can see right here that in a moment's time here, I'm going to start hitting these towers, and then every other map is going to have additional quant because I'm going to put those precursors in. We'll make a separate video on precursors and quant, and then rolling maps and actually magic finding. That'll be later on. Those will be more comprehensive, of course. This is still going to be a fairly simple video because I got 53 splinters, and this is worth, I don't know, 40, 45x. I dropped a few X too, presumably because the map is delirious. Again, extra quant rarity, extra currency. If you're having any rarity of gear on whatsoever, probably increase this number by 1 or 2, or maybe 3. A few currencies, nothing major, but you can see, you know, just clearing a regular map, I'm getting a lot of value. It had no mechanics on it. It didn't have an expedition breach, nothing. Okay, just went through and cleared it. And I have to do it anyway. I have to do it anyway. Like, I have to clear the whole map, kill all the rares, get all the skulls, and do that whole thing anyway. It's something a lot of people don't like. A lot of people have voiced negative opinions about this. But to me, in my opinion, this can make that whole process a bit more enjoyable. Because you don't have to feel that bad. You don't feel like you're just wasting time trying to do the unfun stuff so that you can do the fun stuff. Yes, it's a little bit more tedious, not quite as fun as Breach Magic Finding, but you know, you can definitely just kind of veg out, zone out, and you know, get in the flow state and just clear maps and go to the Citadel or go to the tower, and then do some more fun try-hard stuff with the breaches later on. So that's all I wanted to give you guys. Go ahead and target farm Delirium if your character is pretty well equipped. You know, I was doing this a long time ago when I had way worse gear than I have now. I really don't think deliriousness is all that scary in PoE2. It's not nearly as scary and unforgiving as it is in PoE1. I've even noticed that the specialized delirious effects of monsters really almost seem to do nothing in this game. Kind of weird. Well, we'll just leave it at that. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any other questions on farming Delirium, or what, maybe tell us what you're doing on the point A to point B maps to make them a little bit more advantageous for you farming currency and whatnot, let us know in the comments. I'd be happy to hear it. Well, anyway, thanks for watching the video. We'll see you next time.